Which functional food and beverage trends do I predict will be the biggest in 2022? I'm going to again put my reputation on the line as a forward leaning strategist in the functional CPG industry and compile my fourth annual list. My one big rule for these annual trend prediction lists is that I don't allow any carryover from previous years. This makes it more challenging, but also a little odd since trends are multi year in nature, with the strongest ones lasting a decade or more. That makes my previous predictions valuable to review as they likely have some huge commercialization value left. So, if you are new to my content, I'll leave the links to my 2019, 2020, and 2021 functional food and beverage trend prediction pieces of content in this content's description. Let's jump into this year's list, and in no particular order, here are my predictions for the top five biggest functional food and beverage trends in 2022. First one is going to be around Nutricosmetics and eating for beauty markets converge. So, beauty can be improved not just from the outside in, but also from the inside out through the use of supplements. Nutri-cosmetic, or kind of the beauty from within supplements, have been hot for the last handful of years, with most applications focusing on improvement of skin appearance. Collagen is the hottest ingredient in that category, but the entire Nutri-cosmetic supplement market is expected to grow around 10%, bringing the total sales to just over $1.5 billion. You also have this parallel trend in beauty where companies are using food ingredients as the sole or primary ingredient in products. Just as consumers want to eat more natural, organic, and cleaner foods, they also want the same in their beauty products. As a result, two concurrent developments are taking center stage in the CPG industry. Typical supplements specifically designed for cosmetic purposes will now merge with functional food and beverage applications to create a much larger edible beauty market. This larger edible beauty trend will provide mergers and acquisitions market activity for large traditional beauty companies and CPG conglomerates. The second trend that I want to talk about is what I call lab to fork. Will the food innovations of tomorrow be met with trust or skepticism? The food industry is kind of at this pivotal point where its various initiatives can join forces or become increasingly disparate. I believe farmers and food technologists have the same goal, but different methodologies to create a healthier, more sustainable food system for all. It will take both parties involved to work together and understand how to blend traditions and modern advancements. In 2022, I believe a roadmap will be created for food technology that will become the foundation that provides transformative change. Radical transparency throughout the synthetic biology space will help both federal regulators to develop quality standards and consumer confidence by instilling more trust. Companies like the Urgent Company, which is kind of better known as Perfect Day, and the Every Company will continue to make huge headlines. You'll also start to hear more about alternative lab grown protein companies like Finless Foods and Upside Foods. This will be especially true if the USDA and FDA come together and allow for commercialization of these products within the United States. And while this content is about human nutrition trends, you'll also see this lab to fork trend hit the animal food space in 2022. The third functional food and beverage trend that I think is going to be big in 2022 is sexual health isn't taboo anymore. The US birth rate fell by 4% in 2020, hitting a record low. While I don't think this creates a dystopian effect that sees America turn into the fictitious city of Gilead, like in The Handmaid's Tale, if you haven't watched that show on Hulu, I suggest it. It does spike the entrepreneurial vigor towards sexual health and wellness products. Consider the statistic that almost 30 million men suffer from erectile dysfunction in America. This gives you kind of an insight into the potential opportunities for just the men's side of the sexual wellness products. Now, female libido, pH balance, and intimate wellness supplement formulations are among a category that's growing extremely fast right now. Expect the conversation of general health and wellness ingredients to enter sexual health, as the healthier your body is, the more likely you'll improve your sexual function. This trend will also get a boost from mainstream retailers as they stock more products in store due to consumer sentiment quickly changing and not being taboo anymore over the last few years, and more shoppers wanting easy access to buy these types of products. This will be partially offset by the fact that sexual wellness companies have encountered tremendous difficulties in promoting themselves on social media networks. You'll see more sex influencers utilized, and also community and education focused brands being built to get around this in the coming year. Now, the fourth functional food and beverage trend that I want to talk about that's going to be big in 2022 is what I'm calling putting all of your cards on the table. I just spoke about how important radical transparency will be in the viability of food technology innovations, but this trend covers every single inch of the functional CPG space. Almost two-thirds of recently surveyed consumers said they are interested in learning more about where their food comes from and how it is made. Transparency is an evolutionary subject, and a new standard for expectations are constantly changing with consumers. Today's consumers, the market, is really asking for more, more, more. Radical transparency is becoming an expectation rather than this kind of nice to have. There is a rising consumer demand from brands for total openness regarding the product life story, including the sourcing ingredients, processing practices, and label and packaging. Today's consumers think of the term kind of clean label as encompassing attributes that go well beyond if an ingredient is natural. The good news is that there's an increasing number of technologies that are emerging to improve transparency. This transparency into kind of radical transparency, or what you can consider full traceability evolution, really gets interesting when you consider the fast and furious rise of Web 3.0. Transparency is the hallmark of Web 3.0 because it's all open source and an open database. As the world gets introduced to more of this decentralization through advancements in cryptocurrency and NFTs, and blockchain technology percolates across the business community, it starts to make consumers demand even more transparency from all companies. This will leave more of them embracing the Web 3.0 world ahead of the mainstream curve, as they realize it helps them stand out from their antiquated competition. And then the final trend I want to talk about is what I'm calling commercialized diversity. Now, diversity, equity, and inclusion is not necessarily a new concept by any means, but I'd argue that the functional side of CPG is a bit of a laggard of an already lagging industry. Broadly speaking, it's crucial that the functional CPG space become diversity, equity, and inclusion leaders. After all, practically all Americans use these products regardless of their age, gender, race, and ethnicity. With an increasingly diverse population and widespread consumer awakening, the functional CPG industry will deepen its evolution of becoming more inclusive in its makeup, in who it serves, and in what products are commercialized. The importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion is rising for consumers, particularly when evaluating if a brand is for them. Therefore, investors, retailers, networking groups, accelerators will continue to support diverse entrepreneurs and companies that champion and make good on diversity, equity, and inclusion commitments in an effort to better serve the changing market needs. So I just kind of want to end on some final thoughts and just kind of ask a question. What did you guys think of my functional food and beverage trend predictions for 2022? Do you have other trends that you think I should have considered and maybe I didn't consider in previous years? I'd love to hear about them by engaging with me on any of my social media accounts that are in the content's description. If you enjoyed this YouTube video, hit that like button to support me. Also, help me get to my short term goal of 2,000 subscribers by hitting that subscribe button. I'd love to see you join me on this journey, but We need to fix the fact that more than 70% of you watching this right now, yes, you aren't subscribed to my channel, and that makes me extremely sad. But just want to thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.